Alright, so here we are for video 1. We're going to prep a canvas. Just a basic wood frame canvas, cotton backing with gesso. I buy these already pre-gessoed. We're going to spray the back of the canvas with some water. I prefer bottled water, just don't have to worry about minerals or smells or anything like that. It's going to tighten the canvas so we don't end up with a dip in the center. It also works in case you actually have dents in the canvas to flatten out the surface. Then I use my tape and my push pins to prep the canvas so that, one, it doesn't end up with paint all crazy looking on the back, and the pins so that the actual canvas will sit up off of the table so that I can let paint run off and not cause any issues. Usually just takes a few moments. Doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to help cover so that it looks cleaner and nicer as a finished product. I choose these larger pins because the larger the pin, one, the easier it is to go in, also the easier it is to take out, but also the higher it sits up off the table. Now my table I have covered with a plastic drop cloth just to protect the table. At the moment we have to use our dining room table, but we make do with what we have. I'm sure it'd be the same for most people at home. Alright, so how do I know when the canvas is ready? It actually starts to sound like a drum when the canvas itself is very tight. So it's prepped and ready to go. Next, we choose what paints we're going to use. I'm going to keep it real simple today. I'm going to use black, white, and orange. And I'm going to do a metallic orange. This is a Modern Masters Burnt Orange Metallics. This one is titanium white with Floetrol, and this one is regular black from Masters Touch. This one's blended with pouring medium. Usually grab Deco Art, but other brands work as well. Hobby Lobby, Michaels, Joann's, whoever's got something on special, that's usually what I go with. The titanium white is Masters Touch, and it's mixed with Floetrol. And the Modern Masters Metallic Burnt Orange color, that's actually mixed with the pouring medium. Most of my metallics, I seem to get the best results from pouring medium instead of the Floetrol. But just depending on what I've got available, that's what I'll go with. So the next step, we've chosen the colors, we've got the canvas prepped. Now we need our cup to actually start putting the paint into, layering it so that it's ready for going on to the canvas to make our painting. In some cases, you can actually do a base layer of your white or black or whichever color you're choosing for the base. It's not always necessary, just depends on the type of pour that you're going to do. Today we're just going to do a simple straight pour, and I like the orange to be the predominant. Obviously it's going to stand out from the black and white, so I'm going to start off with a little bit of orange. It's not going to take a whole lot of paint because this is a 12 by 12 canvas. I'm going to try to do basically 2 layers of each color in the cup. And I probably won't actually need the whole cup, but it's always better to have some extra paint than not enough paint. Now I'm also layering the colors in the cup in a way that they're least likely to hopefully blend together and create what some call mud. Now sometimes your mud can actually turn into some cool colors, but the reason I'm going with 3 basic colors is because I want it to be very distinctive on the canvas. I want there to be the distinctive burnt orange metallic, the white, and the black. So we add our last color to the cup. This is our black. Always making sure my caps go on the right bottles. All right, so our canvas is prepped. Our paints are in the cup. I've got my torch ready. The torch can do a couple things. I hardly ever use oil, silicone oil in the painting. I'm not really trying to create bubbles artificially with an oil. Some of the bubbles or cells are simply created from the paints themselves being layered on top of each other in the way that they mix and go up against each other and over each other, both in pouring it out of the cup and moving it around on the canvas. But I use it mainly to pop air bubbles. Air bubbles are a big curse on the painting when it dries because it basically is going to pop and leave a big giant dent. And dents are not cool, hence why we prep the canvas to begin with. All right, so simply going to pour this into the center. Trying to decide exactly which way I want to pour it. I'm going to pour it opposite of the way that I put it in the cup just to see what kind of effect that does. We can already see some of the cells that were created from the first layers of paint. This ends up coming out basically kind of like a ribbon. Whereas I remember going to visit my grandmother at Christmas time, the ribbon candy would be layered on top of each other, and one side would be one color, the other side would be a totally different color, and just depending on how you flip the candy around, you saw a different color, and from the side you'd actually see them side by side. All right, so our paints are out. We still have some in the cup, and you can actually kind of see some of the cells created in there. We'll simply put this off to the side, let some of this extra paint that's still in the cup come out. Our paint naturally wants to move and goes in a circular motion shape, despite our canvas being square, has nothing to do with that. We're going to go ahead and torch and try to remove some of these air bubbles that are already there. I'm doing a thicker paint to hopefully keep some of the rings and or the kind of the ribbon effect that's created by the way the paint is poured out, to help reduce that muddying effect we talked about. So the paint is a little thicker than in some other pours. All right, there's still a few bubbles in there, but most of those will dissipate with the spreading out of the paint, and then of course once it spreads out, the bubbles themselves are easier to pop, and we can always retorch after we move the paint around. So we've now got some of our paint out of the cup. Just kind of spreading it around, make it easier for the paint that's in the canvas to actually move. So it doesn't really matter what this looks like on the outside edge. All this other paint is either going to go over it, or this paint's going to end up being pushed off the sides and the edges. But the more paint we put down, the easier it is to move, and that makes it easier to actually get a pattern that, as it starts coming out, that we can hopefully keep. And I'm just going to scrape the sides a bit. I don't like to waste any of the paint in the cup. And here it does me no good. On the canvas it actually has a shot of making something beautiful. just spread this out. I'm already loving this metallic orange. Orange is my favorite color, but I don't do a lot of paintings with it. It's not a real popular color that people are looking for. Blue seems to be the most popular, especially something to do with like water or ocean, especially here in Jacksonville near the beach. All right, last little bit out of the cup, and then I'll basically wash this and recycle this cup and probably get at least 4 or 5 paintings out of it before it's just no good anymore. All right, so our paint is now ready to move, and we're simply going to start tilting, kind of like the old board games as a kid. Move the little marble or the little BB into the tunnels or into the specific holes. Trying to keep it all on the canvas and just basically move it around till I get most of the canvas covered and I see what kind of patterns are available to tilt towards keeping before I let it start flowing off the edge. It's inevitable that some's gonna go, just trying to cover more of the canvas, but the more you control it at this point, the more you can control the outcome at the end. So I'm not liking these cells along here as much, where the white and the black are kind of merging into each other. I do like this, where it's almost like blankets with the orange and the black and the white blended in, so we'll do our best to keep that, and if anything, tilt more of this off. So let's go ahead and tilt this way first, trying to keep the majority of what I really like in the painting. There is no exact science to this. It's just simply practice and a lot of guessing and praying it comes out the way you intended. If you don't put enough paint onto the canvas, you won't be able to cover all your sides and corners properly. And you'll end up scrambling trying to fix it, or stopping because you're just frustrated as to how it ended up. All right, now we just have one more corner to go, and then we can play around a little bit more as to what we're wanting to keep and what we're wanting to get rid of off of the canvas. Sorry if you can't see that. I'll try to move it into the way of the camera. All right, so I've got all the corners covered. Now it's about trying to get the outcome that we like. And since we didn't like this other side as much, that's what we'll try to tilt off. What was in the center is actually kind of like a white rose, almost the way the rose petals are when looking straight down on a rose, is kind of effect that I'm getting at the moment. And then this beautiful black and metallic orange, you might not be able to see it from there, but all that orange metallic is almost like it's just blending over the top of the black, creating a cloudy kind of effect. It's really, really nice. All right, I like it just like that. Turn around that way a little bit. All right, so in the process of the tilting, a lot of paint rolls off the side, and if you don't stop it, as in cutting it off from constantly running, it will continue to run and pull more paint off than you intended, and it will change the outcome of your painting. So first thing we do is run across. Try to make sure you don't ever carry this back over the canvas because it will drip off, but as you can see, there's actually a lot of paint that came off just that little bottom edge. and it will continue to drag paint if you don't get it off of there. Sometimes I will take this paint and then drip it across something else, like some refrigerator magnets, and create other little pieces of artwork that can go throughout the house. I take some to work and use those to hold things up on my divider wall. Alright, I'm really liking how that came out. We'll do one more quick scrape. Still getting some big globs of paint. So I know it's still trying to flow. This will help cut that down. Alright, now I'm going to clean this. Well, normally I just clean that up. We'll try a napkin first. Clean me up. Do a torch so we can go ahead and finish this painting, and then I'll worry about cleaning up afterwards. Alright, so one more time with our torch. You want to get close enough to pop the air bubbles, but not so close that you end up scorching or burning that top layer of paint. It allows you to do this because there is definitely moisture in the paint, but you get too close or stay in one spot for too long and it basically boils the water out of it and then ruins the paint and smells bad, looks bad. You can pick it off after you've made the mistake, but it's never going to look the same once you start having to mess around with it like that too much. Alright, so there it is. I've got a couple little air bubbles that we can pop that even the torch didn't want to get. Be careful with those as well, because sometimes you'll get colors up from behind it. If you poke too deep and just move the air bubble, you could actually change your pattern in a spot that you really love that, and then it's gone forever. Alright, well, that's it for this painting. It's now going to have to go to my little drying room, and once it's all cured and finished, I will do a gloss coat on top and apply hangers so it can actually be hung up on the wall. Sometimes I wait way after I've made the painting and gloss coated it before I decide where to put the hanger, because in abstract acrylic painting it could go almost any direction. So based on whether someone wants to buy this and they want it hung a specific way, or something finally comes out and I can't help but say, okay, that's the direction it's got to sit, I'll just hold off on putting the hanger on it. Well, thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.